Good night. Good night, subscribers and casual viewers. So this will be a so short agenda video actually. So if you remember, I said that I want to update to upgrade the Crucibles. These ones, they were already prepared, but now they are upgraded with a layer of natural clay, and later I will cover it with another layer of synthetic clay, and maybe later I'll use it for all sorts of purposes. Not instead of the big crucible, which is also important, but I need more for all sorts of purposes. Also, I should, as I said, I will take at least 3 microscopic examples, at least one from the crucible, and one from the water, the metal water container, and one from at least one from the wax containers, just to see what's going on in there. And after that, we'll probably see that there is not much Neros in the crucible, because we've already seen that there is not much like Neros. Probably they are either destroyed by some kind of like force majeure, or I don't know, weapon, because it's outside all the time, or maybe they were used to create the full metal jackets. Because after the first one was created, we have already had this issue of depletion of Neros, and again, the way to actually add more quite easily is to use the wax. And I still have quite a bit of enriched wax. Of course, this is why the reason we'll actually test it to see what's going on. It's in the other metal containers, not the really big one, and there is still quite a bit in there. Maybe I should I don't have bee wax vanilla bee wax. Maybe I should buy some, but I don't want to get out of the room, because the cups. There's the issue with the cups that entered in the middle of the night, a couple of days ago, so I can't get out of this apartment, so it's a problem. But I still, otherwise I would have bought a little bit of, some wax to create more of the enriched wax, because it's very handy. But I still have quite a bit in the container, so it shouldn't be of a worry. So what I do is, I already did it. Just to do it again, it's I place on top of the crucible, of all the stuff that is in the crucible. Like a layer of this wax, the enriched wax with various, with many life forms and Neros, and burn it, and then after some time they just mix with everything else, and then I will arrange the symbols, so we will have presumably more eggs, and we will light it even more, at least 2 or 3 times, and maybe add a little bit of oxygen, baking soda, and see how it goes. Maybe we might prepare ourselves a nice sandwich even tonight, but if not, maybe tomorrow. So more stuff that should be done is 4 samples, because I want to take another samples from it's stinking as hell, but it's interesting. So I'll take another samples from this container, from the container that contains the saltwater container. And after that, I will create at least 2 new environments, and I have small jars. My mother bought me small glass jars, empty. So they will. One will be. I'll place a bit of portion of the saltwater container, and the other, from the main container, a big one that the what I call the aquarium, and I'll add carbonated soda, probably Cola Zero, because that's what I have, and also baking soda, and after some time we will see how it affects can the Neros actually use the oxygen, because it's sealed containers, but maybe they will be able to use the oxygen even in sealed environment. If so, this will be manifested in much larger in life forms and more diverse life forms, but it will take some time, at least 2 weeks or so. But let's start today. But again, first of all, let's take a look of what's inside it right now. Probably it's better to take 2 samples, but I already have 4, and if I take 2 of each, it means 8 slides, and it's quite tiresome. So maybe I'll just I'll do it with only 1, and it'll be a little bit of not rigorous enough, but still, we have 1 from the wax, 1 from the aquarium, 1 from the salt water, and 1 from the crucible. So we'll have to do with only one of each, because otherwise, I mean, it will be 8, and 8 is quite a bit. I'm actually also running out of slides. I mean, I bought 200 not long ago, but I use it, and it's good that I use it, because I mean, it's needed, and it's not that expensive. But at some point, I will need to go like to buy more, and again, I don't want to get out of the apartment, so I'll try not to spend too much of the slides. Like I have something like 40 left, which is, I mean, okay. I mean, it will not, I mean, be like, I mean, be used in a day, but I mean, sometimes it will be used. I wish I could buy like a better microscope. I mean, of course I wish. Like, I mean, it would be incredible. This microscope is, I mean, it's done its thing, but I mean, it could have been so much better. Like, if I had like a much better microscope, even slightly better microscope, you know. But I don't have the money. And this is just such a shame, because, you know, so much could have like been done with better microscope. But I mean, I thank to God that I have this one, you know, because it's, I mean, it's great. I mean, you know, and it's enough to see amazing stuff. Of course, I mean, better microscope will also, I mean, presumably, I mean, let me, like, you know, connect the smartphone directly without, like, you know, because one of the main problem is that, you know, I mean, there is no way for me to connect the smartphone to the microscope, so I just need to hold it, and it makes me, like, I mean, it reduces the quality of the videos, and it also, I mean, reduces my patience to actually, like, I mean, to like, you know, to conduct more like in-depth reviews. But I mean, that's the way it is. I live in poverty, and I mean, you know, that's what humans want me to be, poor and miserable. So they will, I mean, be like they have the upper hand. Maybe I'll continue like to work of the like on the Crucible of the Awakened, like, I mean, the ancient Crucible that I've already started like more than a week ago, and I've kind of like I mean, abandoned it. I mean only temporary, but I will continue, and maybe I'll also, I mean, resume, like, I mean, I'll actually like continue with my paintings, which is something that I haven't done at all in this since March, since I left my mother's apartment. But I'm kind of like, I mean, I have like, I mean, the itch to like, I mean, to continue with it. And actually, my mother brought me 3 frames, small frames that I asked for from the apartment. I have many of those, like many, like more than 100 of all sorts of like frames in like storage in the apartment. So I asked her to bring me 3, and I have canvas that I bought. It's not of the top quality, but it's pretty good. This one here is canvas, so I can actually like nail it. But maybe I'll not do it now, because it's in the middle of the night. It's not that, I mean, you know, because, you know, you nail it to the frame with a nail gun, which makes a huge noise, and we don't want to actually do it right now. So maybe I'll do it tomorrow, but I want to continue with the paintings. I can also use, I mean, one of the 3 frames that I already have with canvases on it and background, and maybe I'll do it. Again, I will use oil colors, because that's what I'm kind of like more into right now, even though it smells like not that good, but what can you do? Like that, I have several ideas that, I mean, I really want to paint, you know, and I haven't painted since March, and I really want to do it. I mean, besides this kind of like very cool, like, you know, these ones, like, I mean, this one, and there is another one, you know, that I've done like with you, like to explain like that about the symbolic language and the gates and the mirrors. But I mean, not much more than that. And I do want to continue with the paintings. So this is something that I should do, but probably, I mean, tomorrow, but let's see. And like more, like, I mean, I want to actually, I mean, one of my first ideas is actually to paint a crucible. Maybe this Crucible of the Awakened, this, like, I mean, the new Crucible that I planned, that should be much more elaborated. And also, I mean, if I have the energy, I'll continue actually sculpture it, which is important. Another thing is kind of like, I mean, the problem is that I don't have enough clay. I mean, again, I ran out of clay. I mean, I'll probably not have enough clay for the Crucible of the Awakened, but maybe I will have, because, I mean, it will not be made just out of clay. I mean, almost nothing that I will make just out of clay, because there is always like interior, which is much lighter. And this is good, because first for symbolic reasons, and because, I mean, you know, the filament is I mean is the valuable stuff. Like I mean it's kind of like I mean the Neros and the life forms, the alien life forms. But also I mean it's important that it's light because otherwise it would be too heavy. So if I use like light material, maybe I will be able to like to complete the new crucible of the awakened, which will be even larger than the larger one that I use with the clay that I have without need to buy more. And again, it's difficult for me to buy because I can't get out because the police, I mean, walking. I mean, just entered my room in the middle of the night and asked me like, I mean, did they want to show arm and all sorts of ridiculous question. So I'm really like under like I mean tight arrest right now. I cannot even leave at all. Yes, this of course affects the radiation in this world tremendously. Why are the Israelis doing it? I'm out of it. Like I don't know. You tell me. I can't. I mean, you know, for so long I try to understand them, but I just can't. I mean, I just can't understand them. Like, why do they do it to me? I mean, not only that during the hearing, I mean, I didn't get any kind of like I mean, real kind of like I mean, you know. I thought maybe I mean during the hearing they will stop the arrest because it's ridiculous. Almost a year and I didn't do anything at all. But no, I mean, it's not even like I mean, the only thing that I mean. That the judge actually, I mean, decided is like to hold another social worker review. So I mean, you know, that's what I do, social worker review, and you will be able to see more of these very soon. By the way, I haven't abandoned my wish to actually resurrect the social worker that I already have here. This one, you know, the guy. You can see it's in perfect shape. I mean, it's not rotten. It's just I mean stuff that I mean. Was put there, I mean, in the crucible, like in the crucible of the resurrection. That I mean was in the resurrection chamber. But I mean, it's in great shape. But actually, I try to resurrect it. I mean, in kind of like a different way now, using more wax actually, because I mean, it's going to be interesting. Or at least, if not resurrected, to see what I mean the Neros are doing when they are. I mean, we like cover it with wax-rich layer of Neros. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, instead of like, I mean, stopping this cruel arrest, I mean, it's only getting worse and like more social worker and now I can't even get out to buy clay. I mean, and my mother, I mean, she did me a favor and bought me stuff today, like to eat, you know, but it's important, but I mean, I do need clay, but maybe I will be able to use the little clay that I have left in order to complete like the crucible of the awaken. And if I'll use like, I know, like I'll be creative with the usage of materials like filament materials, like, you know, something like that, which I have a little bit here. I must admit that regarding the fairy tale, like the real reason, I mean, why I just kind of like lost interest in it, even though of course I mean it should be, I mean, completed and there is still much to say, and like I mean, but I mean, like I thought about it, and just I mean, first of all, I mean, I too much time that I mean I feel that kind of like I mean it's kind of like a standard that I need to work for free for all of you, and it's for so many years that it's like that I mean I'm a slave and I'm tired of being a slave, and part of it is like, you know being like a scientist slave, being like I mean a horse slave, being a historian slave, but moreover, and it's even more than that and stronger than that, is the fact, and I've already mentioned it, that I understood that people actually think about this kind of like fairy tale, which I mean of course is based on reality, even though of course in dramatized way, of course, I mean of course you do understand that I mean, you know, the names like they have meaning. I mean it's not like I mean you don't need to be a genius, like I mean kind of like I mean it's foreshadowing names, like I mean David, Absalom, okay, of course. But I mean, it's also true. I mean, it's a true story that happened a long time ago. But it wasn't my intention, like, in any like capacity like that, it will be interpreted as a cautionary tale for humans. Like, I mean, my understanding is that people are, like think of it like as a cautionary tale. It was very like discouraging for me because, again, I mean, you are already in a war with another species, with the cherubs. I mean, you don't need no cautionary tale. You need to move arms and legs, and you need to move it fast, very quickly, before I mean there will nothing left. Like, what more plagues of Egypt do you need? Like, I mean, you know, radiation and locust. I mean, from hell, and like I mean, again, 50 or 60 like murder hornets can annihilate nests with tens of thousands of bees or like regular wasps. I mean, so think like what 100 of these guys can do. Again, probably 1,000 of these or 100 of these could annihilate hundreds of millions of bees and wasps. And they don't suffer from the major problem of the murder hornets, which is heat, accumulation of heat. That's the major issue. Otherwise, they could have been even more effective in annihilating like tens of thousands of bees and hornets. And the full metal jackets, why should they have any problem with heat? They were born in flame. So no, I mean, you don't need the cautionary tale. I mean, and it was the last thing that I wanted is that you will actually. I mean, my main motivation, I've said it very simply, is to speak to the Titans, even if they are evil, and many of them are evil, especially in Israel. But I thought these people should understand, should know things about their past and about their nature. And even if they are evil, I thought that it's their right to get information about their past and about their nature, and that's like a cruel and unusual punishment, as they say in the American Constitution, like to deprive a person from any information regarding their past and nature. But it wasn't meant as a cautionary tale for humans. To say, look what happened to them, presumably, because they did the XYZ, and then see what happened. No, because why? It's not needed. You started a war. You tortured the representative of another civilization all his life, and then you took his children from him, and you arrested him for and after so much torture. You don't need no cautionary tale. You need to move arms and legs. What cautionary tale do you need? Do you really think that that's what the information that is currently that is you lack what happened I don't even know when, maybe million years ago, I don't know, half a million years ago in another place. By the way, not all the story actually takes place in another place. But it's not even, it's not even the point, really. It's not even the point, really, it's not the issue, it's not the point. And even regarding, the planet Venus, I would suggest, not that this should be your main problem right now. Your main problem right now is what's going on Earth, but, if you were kind of not what you are, not lizard people, all of you, all over the world, if you were, intelligence and kind of even slightly benevolent species, and you would have cared about what's going on Venus, the main issue was not, all sorts of fairy tales, but what's going on right now, and what's going on right now is not that complicated. Even though it's not exactly many people many of my listeners actually identify their whole own history of their countries with the situation that is that I describe as the Venusian situation right now, and it's not exactly correct, but it's yes. The issue of of that there are not enough males. Of course, it was known throughout the history of Earth, all over the world, and of course it's a huge problem when there is not enough males. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem, specifically not enough young males, because yes, always young males are the backbone of society. Of course, women are also important, but usually the problem was young women. Also super important. I don't say that. I don't say that young males were more important than young females, but the problem. Just that the usual problem also of history was shortage of men, even though not all. There are. Sometimes it was actually the opposite situation. In some regions of China, after kind of the rule of only one child, and famously so some people by this way or another took care of that. I mean, that would be a male because they wanted. I mean, also never mind the reason, but I mean, so it was widespread enough like to create like a shortage of actually of females, and also I mean sometimes I mean in there is a shortage of females in places where I mean there is like I mean like a kind of like I mean you know like undeveloped places which in frontiers like in the Wild West or in the Wild East, or like you know Ottoman and British mandate Palestine, that I mean it was kind of like the Wild West, and for the same reasons, because I mean the frontiers I mean kind of like you know the people that I mean males, I mean young males are much easier, I mean they kind of like I mean they just I mean cut connection with wherever they were born and grew up and just go to another place, and it's more difficult for women, and also many times I mean as was the place in Palestine, like and to some extent in the Wild West, but I mean mostly in Palestine, but also in Australia and other places that I mean they were kicked to these places because I mean the people didn't like them. So this relates to the issue of criminality, and of course there were always in Earth more like male criminals than female criminals. Anyway, of course, I mean the issue is some people I mean like find like a resemblance, and even though it's not exactly the same, because as I said, the problem over there is that the females kill the males, and they cannot like say that I mean that they are like I mean act like in you know in behalf of their husbands, because it's they're sentient creatures, they have free will. I mean when they do it, I mean they assassinate, I mean that the blood is on their hand. I mean, so even for the Venusian society, it's not, the cautionary tale is not like I mean of extreme relevance I mean right now, and certainly I mean for you people of Earth, I mean you don't need no cautionary tale or fairy tale. I mean you need to move arms and legs. You place the representative of another civilization inside a prison that is the most cruel that ever established in Earth, subjected to unbelievable like physical and psychological terror. And I have no rights at all in this place. I mean, everything that, I mean, you know, the charades of like, I mean, free market. There is no free market. There is no free speech. There is no free internet connection. There is no, of course, I mean, no free, like, I mean, you know, no equal stand before the law. It's all a joke. You need to move arms and legs. And it's the last thing in the world that, I mean, I wanted is to you to think that, I mean, to think about like of the fairy tale is kind of like, I mean, a cautionary tale for you. No, you don't need no cautionary tale. You started a war with another civilization. You tortured the representative, and then you took his children from him. You need to move arms and legs. You need to rescue him from the Nazi prison. There will be no salvation to anyone by movement of mouses and tongues. It will never happen. And there will be no salvation by any kind of like theater show. No, the theater was closed long ago. No theater is required. And in general, nothing is required of me at all. Nothing. Nothing that I will do or will not do will not change my situation. My fate lies on the hands of people outside of Israel. They need to decide whether, I mean, they want to continue this madness that, I mean, will certainly, I mean, inevitably, I mean, end in the destruction of humanity, and very soon. Or maybe they, I mean, would like to put like their ego in a lower priority than their own life, and then they need to run. They need to run to Israel. Run, really run. Move arms and legs to get me and my daughters out of this hell. And the best time to do it is right now. And this must be done while the mouth is closed and the tongue is not moving. Because if the mouth is open and if the tongue is moving, I mean, there is kind of like a divine verdict, a divine kind of like, I mean, promise that I will never be out of this Nazi hell. It's kind of like, I mean, it's a promise, not only prophecy, but a promise from God to all humankind and also to me specifically. That, I mean, I don't have a plot armor. Maybe I will rot, in the Nazi prison, and die in Nazi prison. But it's absolutely impossible that I will be rescued, my daughters, from Nazi prison, while the people that are presumably doing the rescue are opening their mouths and moving their tongues. It's absolutely impossible. It cannot be. Like, a precondition for me being rescued from this hell, me and my daughters, is that people outside of Israel will close their mouths and stop moving their tongues. And of course, in order to do it, they need to overcome their worst enemy, the nemesis of humanity since forever, the ego. Of course. This was always the problem. That's why I'm here in the first place. Because of the ego of humans. That's the only reason why I'm in this hell. So maybe, I don't know. Again, I don't have a plot armor. I don't know how this will end. God didn't ask me like to die on the cross willingly, but He didn't tell me that I will not die on the cross. No. This is up to you, humans outside of Israel. It's up to you to decide. Whether you want to continue this spiral of humanity towards its inevitable death, or maybe you can overcome your nemesis, you can overcome the ego and close the mouth. Close it. Stop moving, stop any movement of the tongue. Stop it. And then run. And then run to Israel to get me and my daughters out of this hell using arms and legs. Now, before we continue with the experimentation, I would like to address kind of like a theory. So I'll do it in that I haven't spoke about until now, but maybe it's a good time to actually present it. So I'll do it in a separate video, which I'll start in a couple of minutes.